Okay, it's 6 o'clock. Should we start, James?
Sure thing. Go ahead.
Okay, can we take the roll, please? John Normile,
Here.
Katie McLaren,
Here.
Gary Pavlik, Jack McCann,
Here.
and Kathy Conroy here. So we're all present. And we'll start with the first case, which is old business. 2020 057, Hudson River Commons at 120 Hoosick Street, an area variance. The applicant seeks an area variance for exceeding the maximum allowable signage in the HCD zone. Is the applicant present? No applicant?
I'm not seeing Tom Wheeler, who was representing the applicant, on this call.
Okay, so maybe we'll just move ahead. Did he just connect now?
I don't think so. Yeah, the board can choose to move ahead.
Okay,
Uh,
that's what we'll do.
But we did. I just want to bring up that we did discuss this at length last meeting.
Right.
So I didn't know if we can move ahead. That's fine.
We'll just move ahead and then come back to them if they can't vote until they're here, right? Or no?
What was that? What was that,
Can
Kathy?
we vote if they're not present?
Andy, do you want to answer that? I believe now on Zoom, you actually don't need the applicant to be present, but Andy, do you want to clarify?
No, you don't need the applicant to be present. They were present at the last meeting when you announced that it was going to be adjourned to this evening. So they were properly noticed that they were going to be on the agenda this evening. So you can take action whether or not they attend or not.
Okay, so members of the board, do you want to just go ahead and take action on this?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I myself, in reading over it, I don't think that there's anything different from what we saw the last month. So that being the case, do we have a motion on this application?
I'll make a motion
Okay.
to move ahead, Kat.
No, I meant, do we,
Madam
Okay.
Chairwoman, my apologies.
okay, no, that's fine. If we move ahead, can we have a motion on the application? To either approve or deny the area variance?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I move that in ZBA 2020 57, that we make a motion, I make a motion to deny the area variance. I do believe that an undesirable change has already been made in that neighborhood because of the excessive signage as it is. So although the applicant disagrees, I do feel like it's substantial because it's adding to an excessive signage as it is. And I do believe that this difficulty is self-created. We had asked at the last meeting about moving some of the signs on that big board, taking off some to accommodate the new ones that they wanted to add, and that didn't seem like something they were willing to consider. So I make a motion to deny.
Okay, do we have a second on the motion?
Second.
John Normile seconds. On the motion, Gary Pavlik. This is a motion to deny. You want to shake your head or nod your head, Gary? Is your motion yes to deny? Okay. Jack McCann.
Motion to deny, Madam Chairwoman.
Motion to deny. John Normile.
I vote to deny the motion. Yeah.
Okay. Kathy Conroy, I vote to deny, and Katie McLaren.
Yes to deny.
Okay, so it's a 5-0, motion is denied, or the application is denied.
Okay.
Okay. moving on to the next case.
Okay, so I should have clarified in the beginning. The applicant reached out to me. They're going to be represented by a new representative, and they're asking that we will take this off of this month's agenda so that their new representative can familiarize themselves with the case.
This is the Woodlawn Court?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, this is Woodlawn Court wants to go up the, oh, I thought you were talking about the Hudson River Commons.
No, I'm sorry. This is 17 Woodlawn Court. They would like to be on next month's agenda instead
Oh, okay.
because they do not have representation at this time.
Okay, I understand. Do we need a motion to just a table? James? James, if we want to table it, do we need a motion to do that? Or what?
I don't think we're tabling, right? It's just changing.
I don't think so. Andy, do they need anything to dismiss?
Well,
Clarify here.
Woodlawn Court, if I understand it, they specifically requested to be removed from the agenda until next month?
Yes, they put in that request this morning.
So they've been removed from the agenda. They would need
Oh.
to, they need to get back on for next month. You don't have to take the action for them.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you. All right, so then moving on. It's going quite smoothly. Next case. ZBA 2020-69, 228 to 230 4th Street. An area variance. Kadeen Chanar seeks an area variance for a parking deficiency. 0 spaces proposed, 7 required for a restaurant. Is Mr. Chanar present? Okay, then.
We do have, I see
I'm not
Jen.
sure. I know she's trying to get on. I think she's having problems. I'm an
Okay,
interior designer that's been working with them on the project.
okay.
I'm very familiar. I think I can help you with questions.
Well, we can wait, though, if she's trying to get on. Does she want to get on, or do you feel comfortable taking
Well,
over?
I've texted her and called her, and she said she's trying to get on, but I don't see her on here, so I don't know what problem she's having.
Why don't we come back to her? then?
Yeah, right. We'll just come back to her then. Oh, is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
ZBA 2020-61, 561 to 565 Congress Street, special use permit and area variance in a B2 zone. Adam Wilkie proposes converting the existing commercial spaces into 3 apartments. The site currently has 18 residential units, 21 are proposed. Additional units require an area variance for a parking deficiency. 2 spaces are required per unit. Okay, so
So-
Adam Wilkie,
I'm sorry, Kathy. I just want to clarify. There was a typo on the original agenda, and I updated it. It's 1 space required per unit. So
Oh, you
they
did
are
tell me that, right.
asking. They're asking for 3 new units, converting existing storefronts to 3 residential units, which obviously would require 3 additional parking spaces. Code enforcement, when going through this, has assessed the site, saying that they have 18 existing units with 3 new units proposed. It's 21 units total, and that they would be required to have 21 parking spaces total. So that is they're proposing 0 parking spaces. So that's what they are looking for today, is an area variance for a parking deficiency of 21 spaces.
21 spaces, got it. Okay, is Mr. Wilkie or a representative here for him?
Yes, my name is Frederick Ring. I am the engineer of record for the project, and Mr. Wilkie has authorized me to speak for him tonight.
Okay. So now, can you tell us what the problem is? Why you can't propose why you're having this problem with the parking spaces?
Yes, I can. All right, let's first go back to, this is a corner lot located at the corner of Congress and Brunswick Street. And it's an urban area, and there really isn't any locations to build any parking. We were looking at a site in the back that it's a little bit too narrow. Mr. Wilkie has had an unsuccessful conversation with the adjacent owner to try to secure some right-of-way so that he could build a parking lot. Right now, it's difficult, if not feasible, to build a parking lot back there. Just down the road, there was a slope failure. So this area is is susceptible to slope failures. So at this time, we don't think that the parking lot in the rear of the building that was proposed is feasible to engineer at this time.
So are these, obviously, these places are already rented, 18 of them, right?
Okay, yes.
Huh? What?
Okay, very. Okay, so I guess I'll step back. Right now, there are the 3 storefronts on these existing buildings. The apartments are above, and yeah, does the board members have the site plan in front of them?
I don't, but
Okay, well, we'll just go ahead and talk. We'll just continue our conversation. So,
Would the
there-
board members like me to share it? Sorry to interrupt you, Fred.
oh,
Yes, please.
Fred, do you have that handy? Actually, I do have it. It's just going to take me a minute to pull it
yeah,
up.
let me see. I have 4 screens, and sometimes when I share content, my computer will lock up because of the bandwidth. I'm going to try to share the screen right now.
can I ask you a question while you're doing that, or are you paying attention?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to allow me to.
All
Yes,
right, I got it. Can the board see the screen
Yeah.
here on?
Yes.
So Fred, if you'd like for me to move around or anything, just let me know, okay?
Actually, that's perfect. That's perfect. So what we have here is it's a 3-story building, and there are apartments. Okay, and then so in the ground floor of these 3 buildings, which kind of act as 2 buildings, there is a pizza shop in the lower left-hand corner of the site plan. And then in the upper, check that, I meant to say lower left-hand corner, there's an existing pizza shop. And there is a defunct pizza shop. And then in the upper left-hand corner, there is a hair salon studio. Since 2006, after the Congress Street reconstruction project was completed, it was necessary to put in a turn lane, which removed any parking in front of these storefronts. So as a result of that parking being removed, it's no longer feasible for these units to operate as a business. So the applicant is requesting to let them operate as studio apartments in a 1-bedroom apartment. That way there, it would be more conducive to the neighborhood to have some sort of occupancy in there.
So Fred, in this site plan here, you show an 8-car parking lot. I know that there's been some discussion with the city about this concept and concerns about traffic safety and ingress and egress with this parking lot. I just want to clarify, that's not part of your proposal tonight, right? You're not proposing 8 parking spaces here?
No, we were until we started to investigate it and we found out that it's not feasible. So I believe, and I'm not very knowledgeable on the terminology that we're stating, but I think what we're asking for is we need, James, how many parking spots do we need? 21?
Yeah, so if there's 21 proposed units here, so if you heard my analysis earlier, if that's accurate, you have 18 units there currently, you're proposing 3 new units, it's 21 parking spaces would be required total, correct?
Yes. So,
Okay.
so we need 21 parking spaces, so we're asking for a variance for 0 parking spaces.
Okay, so can I ask a question now?
Yes, please.
The 18 apartments that are already rented there,
Yes.
where do those people park? And how is that, obviously, you're not going to tell us it's no problem, but where do they park? Or do they not have cars for the most part? Or what's the story?
It is located on a bus line, and there is some parking on Brunswick Avenue.
Okay. Okay, does anybody else from the board have any questions of the applicant?
I would have some, Kathy.
Okay, go ahead, Jack.
Mr. Ring, in the beginning of your presentation, you said you tried to work out a deal with a neighbor. Am I correct?
I can only state what Mr. Wilkie had told me, is he had a conversation with the neighbor to try to get some right of way from him so that he could try to make a parking lot that would meet the code in the back of the apartment buildings. But the neighbor wasn't really, he wasn't open to the idea.
Is this currently in litigation between a neighbor and your client?
No, there is no litigation.
Okay, so the talks just froze. That was the end of it, right?
Yes. Actually, when I came on board and we determined that the area that Mr. Wilkie was proposing to build a parking lot wasn't big enough, I suggested that he have a conversation with his neighbor, and his neighbor wasn't open to the idea, because then if the neighbor were to grant Mr. Wilkie some right of way, that would reduce his parking area.
As I see it, the cars that are parked on Brunswick Road that are going up, and you have cars parked on the coming down side, it really does create a traffic problem.
Absolutely.
And if you make the turn to go up Brunswick Road, the cars are aligned, pardon me, in such a fashion that you almost have to take both lanes to go up Brunswick Road. And if there's traffic coming down, that obviously is a traffic hazard.
I
So
agree.
the applicant, so Jack, just to clarify here, the applicant's not proposing any changes to the on-street parking configuration of city property. So they're recognizing the challenges of parking in this area, and that's why they're seeking the variance.
Okay, James, but code seems to think that it is also a traffic hazard. Do they not?
I haven't gotten that from code, because there's no parking allowed on let's see here, what appears to be the west side of Brunswick there. So if you're looking at the screen that I'm sharing now, the site that the applicant's site is right here on the corner, and there's no parking allowed on this west side of Brunswick Ave. So there's on-street parking here on the east side, but there's no on-street parking on the other side. So you can see the median is shifted over, they've got one drive lane here, one drive lane here, and then a parking lane here. So I just, the applicant wouldn't change anything about that.
It may be that there's no parking on the west side. However, many of the time I come down there and that west side going down is full of cars. Now, this is for Chairman Conroy's.
Oh.
She would remember that as Fox's store back in the day, maybe.
Whose
If you
store?
remember Fox's
Foxes.
store.
Oh, yes, I do. I do, on the corner, yes. Yes.
Yeah, correct. That's it.
Yes,
I have
I
no
do.
further questions. Thank you.
All right, before we go any further, I'm just wondering, when, did we grant the variance for the original 18? How did this person get 18 spots?
Yeah, they were in front of the board a little over a year ago, if I recall correctly.
Mhm.
And
And is
was
that when they were gonna go in the parking lot behind the place?
Yeah,
They-
we approved that, right?
We approved that to go behind the place, which now Mr. Ring
Right.
is saying is not feasible to go behind the place?
So the applicant was, if I recall correctly, I don't believe he didn't have planning commission approval, right? So I don't know if he had an engineer that he was working with at that time. I don't know if that was Fred. But they were proposing a parking lot that wasn't possible, wasn't feasible. And so that's why he's back in front of us today.
So we approved the parking lot that wasn't feasible.
Right, because they
Okay, so that's why he's back for the 21,
but he's
because
also,
he didn't get the 18.
the applicant also wasn't proposing those initial storefronts, if I recall correctly. The changes were slightly different. They've been exaggerated recently.
What do you mean they're exaggerated?
I'm not making the case for the applicant. I'm just saying.
No, I just don't know if you mean exaggerated in that we're making a big deal where one doesn't exist, or exaggerated in that the problem is worse because they took the turn lane away, or put it in, I should say.
So I think the last time they were in front of us, they were seeking approvals for a slightly different proposal. And now, because the 3 storefronts remain vacant, they're back in front of us, seeking approvals for those in addition to what was approved previously. On top of that, the parking lot that they had proposed has now been removed because
Right.
it's not feasible based on what the planning commission had said.
Okay,
So I think that part of the reason we granted it before was with the understanding that there were going to be some spots available off-street.
and
Now
the
that's not the case. And is it because there's a change in the use? Is that
I was gonna
why
say,
now
and then
we need
if
all these?
they still had commercial on the bottom floor, then it would be like, I'm gonna run in there and leave. So the parking situation wouldn't have been as permanent as it would be with now with all the apartments, right?
Sure.
John Normal, do you have something to say?
No, my recollection was similar to what we've just covered about a prior approval, including an off-street parking lot.
Right,
I remember there was an issue about a back fence with the neighbor.
you're right. I
But,
remember that too.
I don't recall if it was for the 3 units on Congress or for, was it number 2 and number 4 Brunswick?
That was a different case.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
And in that one, the neighbors came out in droves. I
right.
get that because of the parking issue in that area.
Yeah,
Right. Now, even if you went further east on Route 2, not too far, but there's nothing up that way either, right, Fred?
No. As a matter of fact, I'm familiar with the Congress Street project. I think the parking on Congress Street was eliminated on the right-hand side as far back as Stewart's.
You're
Oh,
correct.
okay.
Mr.
All right,
Madam Chairwoman, he's correct. When they redid the Congress Street corridor, prior to that, there was an island type thing there where people could park all the way back to Stewart's. Now, with the little
okay.
island that they put in there, those don't exist anymore. They're gone.
All right. All right,
So can I ask a question?
surely.
So for the sake of our, let's suppose that we deny this. What happens to the 18 people that are already there? Or that just stands?
That would stay.
Okay,
What'd you
Yeah,
say?
this is the new proposal. It wouldn't affect anything that is
okay.
there today.
It just has to include all of them because it's a special use?
No, the reason it includes all of them is because as code analyzes parking today,
Okay.
if there are existing units that don't meet the parking requirement, but the applicant is seeking to increase the number of units, code will count all of the units that it's
Gotcha.
supposed to have, excuse me.
Okay.
So,
But, yeah,
and
okay,
just to
but those,
clarify, they were in front of the board in April of last year, and they were seeking a special use permit and area variance to create ground level dwelling units with a parking deficiency. 14 spaces required, but 6 were proposed.
Okay. But they never did anything with the storefronts? Is that why they're,
No, I mean, the entire proposal was, I'm assuming, thrown away when they couldn't provide those parking spaces that,
oh, right, okay.
because they were still required to create 6 spaces there.
okay, do we have anybody else to speak in favor of this proposal? Anybody to speak in opposition? All right, so if we have no further questions, it's up to board now to decide what we want to do, I guess. Do we have, I mean, I'm a little, myself, a little thrown off because the 18 are there, and even though we're voting on the 21, we're really only adding 3.
Right.
So we're only, so that isn't a huge jump. I mean, 21 is a big jump, but we're not proposing a variance for 21. Isn't that right, James?
You are proposing a variance for 21. Yeah, it's a change
But
of
the
3.
18 are already there.
Yes, so it's not 21 new units, it's 3. It's the storefronts being converted to 3 new units, and it's expected, it's 2 studios and 1 bedroom, and it's 21 parking spaces though, is what
I understand that,
the
but
variance is.
But the 18 people, or for lack of a better term, apartments, whatever, are already there and are everybody's dealing with those 18 lacking spaces, and they have been.
Yes,
We're only
correct.
adding 3 more to lack. You know what I mean?
That's
So,
correct.
I mean, the 18 apartments aren't going away, and nor are the 18 spaces. I mean, it's 3. It's not 21 that we're adding to this because the 18 are already there. So I think that we need to keep that in mind when we decide, although I understand we're making the variance for 21, how long have the 18 been there that we allowed?
This is
Well, actually, it's
these
the board's.
apartments are located on a bus line. And
Okay, but we're right now in the board deliberation, so
Oh, okay, I apologize.
that's all right, that's all right. So I don't know how we all feel about that.
I'd like to know what's been done to try to rent those 3 ground floor units as some sort of commercial use that would be allowed.
I think we already had that as commercial use and they all failed. Am I right, James? Did we have that conversation
Well, the
at one
applicant,
point?
Adam, who was representing himself last year, if I recall, did make that case, but I I don't know that we want to hear that again. I don't think it would hurt to hear, what was done.
Who are we gonna hear that from? Fred?
To address John's question, I'm saying John's question should be
Right.
addressed
Do we
again.
want Fred, Mr. Ring to answer this, or? Is that what you mean?
If he could possibly speak to it, yes, please.
Okay,
Mr. Ring, can you speak to that? I mean, do you know?
it's, yes, it's just very difficult to rent those units because there's no on-street parking for someone to stop outside of the business and run inside, whether they want to grab a pizza or drop off some legal documents. There's really no parking in the area. There's no parking on Congress Street on the other side of the street, and there's no parking in front of the buildings. I mean, this is a deficiency that was created by the federal aid project to increase traffic through the area.
But if it's already difficult to park, if we're going to bring in 3 additional residences, it's not going to get any easier to park.
Well, I was just thinking when you say that, if I was to go out and rent an apartment and I had a car, I probably wouldn't look at the apartment where I didn't have any parking anywhere even close to the place. I would probably find this appealing if I was a bus rider. If I went to RPI, which is in the vicinity, or something like that, you know what I mean? I would never, if I owned a car, I would never want to live there.
That's correct. And Mr. Wilkie has expressed, speaking with the folks in code enforcement, that the studio apartments are the type of housing that RPI students look for.
Has the applicant discussed any sort of package with CDTA or any options with CDTA to increase the likelihood that a transit user would choose this type of housing?
I can't speak to that, but it does make sense. It's it is a nice little urban area where you can walk across the street to Stewart's, and the bus stop is right across the street. So when I've been there working with Mr. Wilkie, taking various measurements and stuff like that, I have observed, people getting off the bus and walking to the apartments.
RPI students do receive universal access. They are part of the universal access program that CDTA has, so they can use transit for free.
Okay, so if we have no further questions, do we want to have a vote? We don't need a secret vote because it's a type 2 action. Do we have a motion on this proposal or no? John, was that you?
Yeah, it is me.
Okay.
If I were going to make a motion, my motion would be to deny them both. But if there's someone that wants to make a motion to approve, I'd wait and let the board address it that way if that's what you want to do, Kathy.
Okay.
Can I ask a question first?
Surely.
On the special use permit, the number 2, we don't get many of these. I'm not sure how that would be answered.
What, the number 2 finding?
Finding of, yeah,
With the landscaping?
right.
Well, I don't know what off the top of my head, what the landscaping and screening criteria, are they specific to that zone, James?
So I don't believe there's any specific criteria for this zone. It is a bit of a strange way that it's suggested. But I do, on the topic of the special use permit, I just want to clarify that this isn't it isn't allowed use by right. It's just a opportunity for the board to address any concerns that they might have and add stipulations. So I'd encourage the board to address the special use permit and the area variances in a different manner if there are concerns around this case.
So the two
Andy, I
different
don't know if you want to add to that.
Yeah, there's separate reviews that you're engaged in. You're really wearing two separate hats. So I think they would have to be viewed separately. But I would analyze the variance first, because without the variance, they wouldn't have the parking in order to be given the special use permit. So I think the variance kind of drives what happens with the special use permit, because they wouldn't be entitled to the special use permit without the variance, because they'd be deficient in parking.
Got it. Okay. Well, I'll make the motion if you want, if I can.
I'll allow it.
Okay, thank you. I make a motion that we approve the area variance for the 21 spots based on the fact that I don't believe an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood any more than it's already there because of the way that the lane has been reconfigured. Pardon me? Somebody say something, James?
Nope,
Oh, I was giving a speech. I thought you were interrupting me. Okay.
you're doing great.
Okay, great. All right, so I don't think an undesirable change will be produced, as I said, in the character of the neighborhood because it's already, if there is an undesirable change, it's already taken place. And this isn't going to make it any worse. I would also, well, I probably shouldn't make it as part of my motion, but I'll just move on to say that the benefit that the applicant can achieve, I don't think there's anything else that he can do in order to get the variance. He's tried to get the parking. There is no parking in the area. The neighbor has not been agreeable, and the ground isn't such that it's a good idea to put parking in the back. I certainly can say that the variance is substantial and that it's for 21 spaces, but basically it's only for an additional 3. I don't feel it's going to have an adverse impact on the conditions of the neighborhood, as I said in the first finding of fact, and I don't believe that the difficulty was self-created. Once again, I believe it was created by the reconfiguration. That was a large part of it, the reconfiguration of the lane. I'll also say that, just as an aside, we've had more than one case up here in the area, and the neighbors usually come out in droves. Good for them that they care about their neighborhood, but there's no one here tonight to speak against this proposal, which makes me think that this is not and has not been a detriment to the neighborhood since it went to the 18 apartments. So this is a positive motion to grant. Do we have a second? Gary Pavlik is raising his hand a second. Okay, so on the motion, Katie McLaren, this is a motion to approve.
I vote no.
John Normile,
I vote no.
Jack McCann,
I also vote no.
okay, Gary Pavlik. Shaker, nod your head. Okay, Gary Pavlik is saying yes, and I vote yes. But the vote is 3-2, so the application is denied.
Madam Chairwoman, may
Application
Madam
fails to
Chairwoman.
pass.
Okay, the application, excuse me, Jack, the application failed to pass. Okay. Jack, yes?
I just wanted to ask Mr. Ring, has he contacted the people just up the street on Congress that built the parking lot and have just paved it? as to perhaps renting 3 parking spaces in that parking lot from the owner of that parking lot.
I will inquire.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I see where, is it Shadeen has, well, okay, can we go back to Shadeen? Did I see where she arrived? Go on again?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, where is she?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but your name, oh, is this you? Okay, your name was there before, and now it's not a name, it's a number. Okay. So
I'm
we'll go
sorry,
back.
I'm having a little connection issues with
That's
the
all right.
computer, so I called in through the phone.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. So, your case is 2020-69, 228 to 230 4th Street, an area variance.
I'm sorry,
How do you
Kathy.
pronounce your first name?
It's Kadeen.
Kadeen. Okay, Kadeen Channer seeks an area
Yes, ma'am.
variance for a parking deficiency, 0 spaces proposed, 7 required for a restaurant. Okay,
Kathy,
Kadeen,
are
would
we
you like
moving on
to,
from the, I'm sorry to
pardon me?
interrupt you. I'm just trying to make sure that, are we moving on from the other case? We had the vote to pass, the vote to approve did not pass, but I just wanted to make sure that we were taking an action there.
What did we do? It didn't pass. So isn't it over? James?
Andy, go ahead.
The vote was 3-2.
Three to two. The vote was actually 2-3 because the motion was to approve.
Oh my
And it
God, the
failed.
negatives and the positives, I can't cope with that.
So technically, there was no final action taken. There was a non-action taken because the motion that was put onto the floor failed.
So what do we got to do, Andy?
I think the easiest thing would be someone who voted against the motion to approve, make a motion to deny, set forth their reasons on the record, and then vote that motion if it gets seconded.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, Kadeen, you're going to have to wait a second till we finish this one.
Not a problem.
Okay, so John, Jack, or Katie, make the motion to deny. Is that what you said, Andy?
Yes, that would be a final action.
Okay, sorry.
Before the board votes, could I say a couple words on behalf of the client? Is that,
No, I don't think so.
okay, thank you.
I don't think so, right, Andy? I mean, we're in the voting phase.
It would be up to the board. If the board chose to allow additional public comment, they could.
All right, go ahead, Fred.
Okay, I just would like to state that, this hardship was brought about by the federal aid project, and that, right now these storefronts are vacant, and Mr. Wilkie, he wants to try to improve the neighborhood by, instead of having the vacant storefronts, to actually, rent those out, so that he wants to complete those storefronts. So, convert them into a viable type of use.
Okay, somebody having an issue with a phone or something? Kind of distracting?
Yes. How about I just mute?
Good idea. Nothing personal. Okay, John, Katie, or Jack? John, did you raise your hand?
Yes, I
Okay,
did.
go ahead, go ahead.
Madam Chair, in regards to application 2020-61, in particular, the area variance, I'm going to make a motion that we deny the area variance. First of all, I believe an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood. I think this is going to exacerbate an already existing problem with parking and traffic, and it's going to be a detriment to nearby properties. A benefit by the applicant we haven't seen sufficient, in my opinion, we've not seen sufficient evidence to know that a benefit cannot be achieved by some other method feasible. The requested area variance, like I said, is substantial. Number 4, I think the proposed variance will have an adverse effect and impact on the physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood in regards to parking, in regards to traffic on what's a pretty steep hill on Brunswick. And if the alleged difficulty wasn't by definition self-created, I don't see that the applicant has taken sufficient steps to improve those 3 ground level retail spaces to try to make them appealing to a tenant. And so with that, and with everything we've heard tonight during the meeting, my motion is to deny the area variance.
We have a second to deny?
I'll second to deny.
Okay, Jack seconds to deny. And on the motion, Jack McCann?
Second to deny.
So you mean yes to deny, right?
I
I'm asking
beg
you
your
to
pardon.
vote now.
Oh, yes to deny.
Okay. Katie McLaren,
Yes to deny.
John Normile,
Yes to deny?
Gary Pavlik, no to deny. Huh? I'm not good with lip reading. Yeah,
Gary.
right. I know he's saying no to deny. I thought you were adding something else. And Kathy Conroy, no to deny. Okay, so the motion to deny passes by a vote of 3-2. Now we're done with this case, right? James?
Correct.
Okay, so now we're moving along to K. Dean Channer, 228 to 234th Street, an area variance for a parking deficiency, 0 spaces proposed, 7 required for a restaurant. Okay, K. Dean, go ahead. Tell us what you want to do, and why you can't meet the requirement.
Say that one more time.
Huh? If you,
Say that one more time.
tell it, K. Dean, you sound like Katie McLaren. She's got to shoot your voice. Okay. K. Dean, if you would
Hi.
tell us, introduce yourself, tell us what you want to do and why you cannot meet the requirement.
Why cannot meet the requirements?
Yeah, of the 7, you need 7 spaces. Why you can't make the 7 spaces?
To be
Just
honest,
tell us
I'm
what
not
you
sure
want.
why-
Pardon me?
Jen, can you help me out with that? I'm not sure what she's saying.
Okay, all right, you want an area variance because in order to put your restaurant there, you need 7 parking spaces.
Correct.
You have no parking spaces.
Correct.
So the question is why we should allow you to have your restaurant there without the spaces that are required. Have you looked for them elsewhere? Are there none in the area? Do you feel that you won't need them? They're not really, on a practical level, they're not really needed for your restaurant, that sort of thing. Okay, or maybe if, Jan, are you the one who's here?
I am.
Yeah.
Perhaps
She
you
is.
can give
So,
her some assistance?
yes, I think I can.
Okay,
They're part of Troy Kitchen, which is closing down, so
it
they
is?
have to move.
Hmm,
But they have a strong clientele that supports them. The building that they're moving into and the area that they're moving into in the building was previously a cafe, but the
Mhm.
building had been vacant for over a year, so that's why they're requiring that we come and apply for the area variance. There, it hasn't seemed to be any problem with finding parking on the street. It's a one-way street. There's parking on both sides of it. it seems to me that since it was approved before for the cafe, that you know, they're not going to have very many tables. It's like under 14 in the restaurant, and most of their clientele, they do a lot of takeout even before the COVID. So
Okay.
I guess that's the argument.
And there's no, have you looked for parking someplace and there isn't any to be had, or in the area?
There, as far as I know, none to be had. The street behind us is occupied as far as there's buildings all along there. Although somebody could certainly park on that and walk around the block to their restaurant. So there are
Right.
areas for them to park that are not right on that particular street. There are other restaurants that are already existing on the street without parking. So I don't know why they would be excluded when the others are allowed.
Mm-hmm. Now, what does it say here? How many, what did you say? They have 14 tables?
No, not 14 tables, 14 seats,
Oh, 14 seats.
14 seats.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so that's a small restaurant.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I lost you again. Oh, wow.
Which restaurant is it?
It's,
MNK Island Hub. It's a Jamaican restaurant. It's currently now in Troy Kitchen.
Okay.
so
Okay,
they would be improving this area of the city by adding their restaurant to a vacant building. So they are adding value to the community. And like I said before, it's already, you know, a business is already in the location that they are going to operate from. And that had been approved, you know, in the past.
the one that left, you said.
Pardon?
The cafe that left. You didn't say there's another restaurant there.
No, no, no. The cafe left and
Right.
the building was vacant for over a
Correct.
year. So that's why we're being required before you
Right.
to ask for the variance again.
Okay, do we have anybody else here to speak in favor of this proposal?
I'll just add, I mean, I outlined this in the staff report. This is a much different area from the previous case. This is
Right.
in a much more urbanized, walkable community. It's on several bus lines or a couple bus lines that CDTA runs. And it'd be great to see that site occupied, up and running with another business in there.
Particularly if, I'm sorry to hear Troy Kitchen's going away. But if you're taking one away, it'd be nice to, even though it's a few blocks away, still, it's nice that the restaurants that are in there don't have to go away also.
Right.
Do we have any other questions of the applicant? If not, do we have a motion? No secret needed. Do we have a motion on the application?
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion.
Okay,
I'm going to propose a motion that we approve this area variance based on the discussions that we've had so far during the meeting. And then because a small restaurant like this will not create an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to the nearby properties. Instead, I believe it's going to attract more foot traffic, bring people into the neighborhood. The benefits sought by the applicant likewise can't be achieved by some method feasible because, you know, it's the way that neighborhood is laid out. There's not a lot of parking that's available there, but this sort of business fits right in there. I'm sorry?
no, I said you're right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Third, the requested area variance is not substantial. We're talking about just 7 spaces. Do I have to keep going?
No.
Area
I think
variance?
you've hit it all.
Thank you.
Yes, and a fine job you did. Do we have a second?
I'm
I'll
blushing.
second.
Okay, Katie seconds, and on the motion, Jack McCann?
Yes to approve.
Okay, Gary Pavlik. He's right, I can't see that, Gary. Just nod your head or shake it.
Yes, Gary, we can't hear you. So you have to continue
Yeah,
to.
it's hard to read. It's hard to read, so you're going yes. Okay, got it. Yes to approve. Oh my gosh, what does this say? James,
Yes, Gary, we can't hear you. You're
do
on.
you, oh.
James, he's asking if
Okay,
you
here's the
have him
question.
on.
Do you have him on mute? I feel like I'm on a game show.
No, I don't have you on mute. It seems like it's your hookup that is the issue.
Okay. Okay, but anyway, he did vote yes. He nodded his head. I forgot where he was. Jack, Gary, Katie McLaren,
Yes to approve.
John Normile,
Yes to approve.
and Kathy Conroy. I vote yes to approve. So congratulations, you have your permission to move forward with your restaurant. Katie,
Thank you.
you're
Thank
welcome.
you very much to the board.
You're welcome. Next case, 2020-68, 2217 Fifth Avenue, an area variance in an R4 zone. Nori Yaruga seeks an area variance for a parking deficiency, 0 spaces proposed, 2 required, needed for converting a former commercial space into a single-family home.
Kathy, I believe that was changed to 1 space required. This
Yes.
was the case.
Oh, what did I get, the late, I got the late, or the early agenda? Okay, so it's 1 space. Better yet. Mr. Yaruga, would you like to tell, you're standing in a beautiful spring or a winter scene. Where are you?
No, that's a picture.
Oh, it's a picture.
That's a picture.
Okay, then I
wish.
just realized you didn't move anything for the last hour. Hey, it's a nice picture though.
Oh, thank you.
Keep it. Yeah, right, really. Okay, go ahead.
Well,
Tell
there's
us
a
what you
little
wanna do.
storefront. Yeah, there's a little storefront. It's a single-story storefront that sat vacant for, I believe, 3 to 5 years. I mean, the previous owner couldn't rent the space for a long time. So I purchased it. I talked to several realtors, and they said it's a residential street. There's no other commercial businesses around there. So I thought the best use of the space would be to convert it back to a 1-bedroom, single-family apartment, pretty much. And I think that would be the best use of that space. I mean, I don't think, as far as parking go, I mean, there's a parking spot right in front of it, but there's several vacant lots on the blocks. And there's plenty of street parking on the street, because there's street parking on both sides of the street. So I don't see it being the big issue, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, do we have,
Yeah.
do we have any questions for the applicant?
No.
Do we have anybody to speak in favor of this proposal? Anybody? Jack, did you have something you wanted to say?
No. No, I'm
Oh, okay,
fine with
well,
it.
you got highlighted there, so. Anybody to speak in opposition? Okay, well, no sense in just belaboring the point if we're all in agreement that it's time to vote. We did have, well, I don't know if any of the rest of you were on the board. I know I was. I believe it was a flower shop that was there for a while, and that didn't work.
Correct.
And then I believe it was maybe a restaurant. He was going to put a restaurant in or something, and that didn't work. So I think probably putting it back to an apartment is probably a good idea. And it's just a regular urban street, so there would be parking, I would believe, would be readily available, certainly for 1 car, in my opinion. But does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
Oh, and also there's no secret needed on this one. Madam Chair, for ZBA 2020-68, I'll make a motion to approve the area variance. I don't believe that an undesirable change will be producing the character of the neighborhood, nor a detriment to nearby properties. just the opposite. I believe it would be good for the neighborhood to have that space occupied instead of having it be an empty storefront. I don't believe the area variance is substantial because it's one spot. And there's actually, it looks to be that there's room right on that lot, but there is also street parking in that area. Again, I don't believe the variance will have an adverse effect on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood, because again, the building's already there and it will put it to use. So positive motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
John Normile. And on the motion, Jack McCann?
I vote yes to approve.
Okay, Gary Pavlik?
Yes to approve.
Hey, what happened, Gary?
Oh, I had to fix
God.
it. I fixed it.
Oh, good, excellent. Okay, Katie McLaren,
Yes to approve.
John Normile,
Yes to approve.
and Kathy Conroy, yes to approve. Okay, so Mr. Yaruga, go ahead. Good luck with your proposal.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And don't lose the picture. It's really a lovely picture.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank
Okay, now our last case is ZB 2020-71, use and area variances in an institutional zone. College City Coal Press seeks a use variance to create a retail space in an institutional zone and an area variance for a parking deficiency. 0 spaces proposed, 6 required. So is the applicant present?
Yes, I'm present.
Oh, Adam Tella and Jessica Garrity. Okay, then. All right, would one or both of you like to tell us what you want to do?
Sure. So basically, we have an existing commercial space that Jessica is looking to move her cold press juice operation from further down the street, further up the street. There'd also be a small retail component as well. The space was previously used by Flower Scout, which is a commercial florist. And it is adjacent to a small massage practice as well.
So it's the building right on the corner,
Yes, it's the building on the corner of Division and 2nd Street.
which says something about printmakers or something?
Yeah, I think that the Flower Scout tenant also kind of shared some space with another individual who had some signage as well.
All right, and so we note here that this lot is on the edge of the institutional zone. And
Yes.
the use would be allowed across the street on Division or kitty corner on 2nd Street. So you're just right on the edge, which is what makes it why you're here tonight. It's not exactly like you're in a whole different area. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant? Is there anybody here, I should say first, is there anybody here to speak in favor of this proposal? Anybody to speak in opposition?
I'll just make a similar comment to the previous case or 2 cases ago. I mean, this is really a strange situation that the applicant is in based on our zoning map. And, we don't have any reason to believe that this would have a negative impact on the neighborhood from the city's perspective. So I don't know if the board has looked at the zoning map, but it is a bit awkward that this section not owned by Sage is in the institutional zone. And I just want the board to consider that when voting tonight.
Right, thanks, James. Do we have any points anybody on the board wants to make? Other than the fact that, go ahead, Katie.
This is moving or it's a second location?
I'll let Jess answer that.
It would be moving.
Okay.
Okay, now for those of us who are over the age of 25, a College City Cold Press, this is a juice bar. Probably not a bar, but you have people going in and out. I mean, tell me what a juice bar does.
So I produce cold pressed juice using local ingredients and I sell it. I then take it to different farmers markets, including the Troy market. I do home delivery, and then I would have just a small retail component as well. So there would be juice available at the counter. Sorry.
I just want to jump in. I just want to be clear. This isn't a juice bar as a
Yeah,
restaurant.
I know. I used the wrong words. Yeah, I didn't mean that. I said juice bar because that's what I think. That's the, latest
Right.
words I hear. But nevertheless, I could
Right.
go in there and I could buy juice that I never ever heard of in my whole entire life before, right? I'm sure you're not selling Tropicana orange juice, right, Jess?
Yeah. Yes, you could buy fresh juice.
So you could just go in there. You're going to have the small retail, but for a lot of it, you're not even going to be there, or you have somebody in there working with you or whatever.
Yeah, I have a big production space for the juice that's produced for the farmer's market. So we produce it there and then bring it to market.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, and it's just by mere luck, shall we say, that you're not across the street from where you are. Because if you were, we wouldn't be here for the use variance anyway, because you would be in the proper zone. Correct? Yeah.
I'm not sure we'd be in the proper zone per se, but
No, you wouldn't be, but you would be out of the zone that requires you to not have to come here.
I don't know that. I do know we would not be in the institutional zone.
Exactly, that's what I meant. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're talking about a very small retail component, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess that a lot of it would be foot traffic from
Exactly, or bikes like James on the bicycle. James can go there on his bike.
I ride my bike there.
So
yeah.
6 parking spaces. I mean, I know Second Street can get congested as far as parking, but do you anticipate needing 6 spaces? I mean, I know it's required because of the, the size of your space, but
I mean,
do you
I
anticipate the
personally,
retail portion being that busy?
no, I really cater to the neighborhood. I live a block away. I walk. This is really going to be sort of, if you're walking around the neighborhood or you're a student at Sage, you're walking on by, and there is a bike rack out front. That's cool too.
There you go, James. You're all good. You're all good. Where were you? Were you towards South Troy, and where your current location is? South of where you want, more towards South Troy.
Yes.
It was previously at 274 2nd Street, which is kind of an industrial mixed-use building towards the posting kill.
Oh, okay. All right. Right around there. Okay. All right. Do we have any further questions for the applicant? No? Do we need a secret?
Yes, we do for this one. Madam Chair, for ZB 2020-71, I ask the board to find this to be an unlisted action with sufficient information available upon which to make a determination that the project is not expected to cause significant environmental impact.
Okay, do we have a second on that secret?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, so if we feel we've heard what we need to hear, can we have an application on the use variance, or a motion on the use variance?
I'll make a motion, Kathy.
Okay, John?
I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the use variance for application 2020-71, in that certainly the need for the variance was not caused by the applicant. The applicant is trying to bring a business into a space meant for that type of business. It's a low impact walk up type business. People are not going to linger. They're going to grab and go. The use shall not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. Again, like I just said, this is very low impact. And for those reasons and for the other reasons we've discussed previously, I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the use variance. And do we have a second? Katie seconds on the motion. Jack McCann?
Yes to approve.
Gary Pavlik,
Yes to approve.
John Normile,
Yes to approve.
Katie McLaren,
Yes to approve.
and Kathy Conroy, yes to approve. Okay, so we have the use
Good luck.
variance, and now we have to have the area variance. A motion on the area variance. You have
Madam
somebody who
Chair,
wants to make that motion, John?
I'll make a motion in regards to application 2020-71, the area variance. I'm going to move that we approve the application. Again, as discussed before, an undesirable change will not be produced in the character of the neighborhood. A detriment to the nearby properties will not be created by the granting of this area variance because, as we said before, this is the type of business where people are going to come in and then they're going to leave. It's going to be mostly foot traffic. Second, the benefit sought by the applicant really cannot be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance because it's just the character of the neighborhood. That's the way the neighborhood's laid out. The applicant is trying to bring a worthwhile business in there. Number three, the requested area variance is not substantial in any way. There's no reason to hold it back for that. So that's it. It's my motion to approve.
I'll
Okay,
second.
do we have a second from Katie? And on the motion, Jack McCann,
Yes to approve.
Gary Pavlik,
Yes to approve.
John Normile,
Yes to approve.
Katie McLaren,
Yes to approve.
and Kathy Conroy, yes to approve. Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Yes, best of luck is right.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make
John
that.
Normile, we have a second.
I'll second.
Okay. Meeting adjourned.
Good night.
Good night.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Careful.
Stay
So
safe. Stay safe. Mask.
For all of us.